Hi, everyone. I am going to show you some of the newest features of Google Meet. So here we are. I've been getting a few emails, so I just want to go over a couple of new things with you and walk you through it. The first is here are the host controls that are down here when you make a Meet. If you want to turn off that people are automatically let in if they are from our domain, this is where you do that. If you don't want anybody else to share their screen or to be able to use messages, these are the areas where you turn those things off. And you can only do that once you've entered the Meet. The other area that is over here is under this drop down. This gives the details if you need to give the join info after you're already in or any attachments. So if you've made a Jamboard, it will be here. If you've made a document that you have shared out in the calendar or you've pre-set up anything, those all appear here, which is nice and convenient. The other areas that are down here along the bottom are some of your controls. So under here, this is where you can record. We'll do the whiteboard in a little bit. This is where you can change your layout. So here's where if you want to have more people on your Meet and be able to see all the tiles, this is where you do that if you're not presenting. And then the other things that are here are changing your background. So if you want to change your background, I could change it here. If you want to blur it, that is here, or a little more blurry, that's there. Okay, some of the other new things that are under these three dots that are right here, you can turn on closed captions. That won't work right now because I have my microphone off. I am recording the sound through Screencastify. But you can turn on closed captions for yourself, or you can alert that students can do that as well if they're having trouble hearing. Sometimes if their audio isn't working quite well, I will let them know to turn on closed captioning. And then any settings, if you need to adjust anything with your own sound, where your microphone is coming from, what it's recording from, audio or video, this is where you would do that as well. Okay. And then the other button to note is the Present Now button. Under here, if you are presenting a video or any animation, use this tab. It will then ask you which Chrome tab do you want to present from. So it's going to ask you which Chrome tab. Notice this is for Chrome. So which Chrome tab do you want to present from? And then it'll ask you that. The other way is if you don't want to present from a Chrome tab, then you'll click either a window that's on your computer or the entire computer screen. And usually that's used if something is sitting on your desktop that you want to share. So now for some of the fun new things that are here. Under participants, here's where you can see everyone. Again, you'll see host controls. You can see the chat, and then you'll see some of the new features that are right here. So under here, we have our breakout rooms, our polls, and our Q&A. So I just want to show you a few of those. Here's breakout rooms. You'll notice if you go in, I had already done this before. So when I first go in, I usually, when I first get into a Meet, if I know I'm going to be using breakout rooms, I click this breakout rooms button right away. And then I move any of the students out of that breakout room up to the main call. And then I put the number that I want. And then when more students come in, they'll come into this main place and I'll move them down. If you want it to be something that is randomized, then go ahead and wait for students to get there and then create it. I can shuffle people into it. But if you create it when everybody's in the class, it'll automatically put people into that room. It'll shuffle them in. If you prefer that you have a group that you want to then set up while the Meet is taking place, then you can move them out. You can click the X's if it's designated it, but it'll leave them in two rooms. So I manually move them up and then I move them into the ones that I want. So let's say I want to move these two students into a breakout room together, both of these Stephanies. I'm going to go ahead and start that. I'm going to open those rooms right now. Okay, and what it's going to show me, that I'll show you, if it'll show you, it'll be backwards if I show you, but what it's going to show you is it showed on my screen to join a breakout room. So as the student, it says join a breakout room. You'll see that this is spinning here until they actually join. So you can see when they hit join and that they've made it to that breakout space. So I'm going to go ahead and click join as both of the students. Okay. And what you'll notice here is it fills in once they're in that breakout space successfully. It let them both in there. If I want to join as the teacher, I go ahead and click join. And now I have joined that breakout space. And here I am in that breakout space. I've joined it. When I am done, I can leave that breakout space and come on back. And here I am back. I'm back in the main room. When I want to close that, I can close the room. The students will get that same alert on their screen. So if you're having your students doing other things, if they're in a Jamboard or they're working perhaps on a Pear Deck, or they're working on a slide presentation, or they're working on something else when they're in that meet, you will want to let them know at this time I'm going to be calling you back. Because when I click it, just like I'm going to go ahead and click close all the rooms, just like I did for that first one, that same alert just came up on my screen, right? Breakout rooms has ended, and it's going to ask me to then click return. So as the student, I'm clicking return, and then I'm pushed back into the main call. All right, so all my students are now back. You can see that. I'm going to close out this breakout room part so that I can show you something else. So one of the other pieces that you can use are polls. Okay, so polls are here. Let's say I wanted to ask the students, you can create a poll ahead of time. I did this one before and had students vote on it before you got here. I can create a new poll. I can do this before the meet takes place and save it, and then I can launch it during the meet. So let's say I wanted to find out something from students, and perhaps I asked them, what was the answer to homework question 4? And then I put in all of the choices. We're just going to pretend that these are the choices that are here. All right, I might have those there. And then I can either click save, and that'll be waiting, or I can go ahead and click launch. And I can choose if everyone sees the results or not. So as a student, so if I click launch, as a student, you would then, as a teacher, you would say, now I want you to go ahead and look under the triangle, square, the activities button. And they're going to see that there is a poll that is there. And they would see that poll, and then they can click it. So I'm going to look at my answers from homework, and I'm going to click B. And as soon as I do that and I click vote as a student, as the teacher, it's going to show up here. Okay, so you either can show it to everyone. So as the student now, I'm seeing that. When the poll is done, I can click end poll. Okay, a few of the other features that I want to go over with you are, there's one more that's here. So this Q&A button, the Q&A is an interesting one. So Q&A, I often think about is people in the meeting. So other students, everyone in the meeting can post their questions. Now, I know that they call it Q&A, but it really is a space for questions. So if they're putting in the question, then it can alert me that there is a particular question versus a chat. And so these are ones that a student asked during the chat. And I can either mark something as hidden. So if I mark it as hidden, it is something that only the person who asked the question then sees their own question. I can mark it as answered if I get to it during a session. And then I can click that, yes, I got to that one. If we've already done it, or it's a question that I don't want to, we're not going to talk about today. If there's a reason it needs to be, you can delete a question. But it is something that might help during something that might feel more like a lecture, or something where there might be a lot of time, or maybe when a group is presenting and we don't want it interrupted with with the chat. This might be a good place if you're wanting people to post particular questions that maybe they would answer after it's done. That might be a way that I would use the Q&A feature. And then the last one that I wanted to make sure that we went over is the whiteboard feature. So if you have not used Jamboard, Jamboard is amazing. It's wonderful. When you launch Jamboard directly here in the Meet, one of the neat things that it does is it will ask you, should I start a new one? Do you want to use one that you've already used? Maybe if you've already set one up during this. If you already have one that's pre-set up, you can choose it from your Google Drive. And so I had already made one, and asks you when you make one, do you want it to be viewable or shareable or editable with the people that are here in this meeting? So it already does that for you. I'm just going to show you how it does that. So if I create a jam, it's then going to say, I'm going to give view or editing rights to the people that are here. Okay, so I'm going to use the one that I've already created. When you are done, when the students are done, they click out of it, and that Jamboard is still saved under here, under attachments. And if I click it, it opens it back up. It'll have all of those settings. I hope that helps you with all of the new features that have been added. And if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask me. Bye, everyone.